It's the middle of the night, 300,000 years ago. You're lying in a pile of bodies. Your family, your group, everyone you've ever known, pressed together for warmth around the last red coals of a dying fire. And out there, just past the edge of the light, something is moving. You can't see it, you can only hear it. A shift in the grass, a weight settling. And you know the way every animal knows? That the dark is full of things that want to eat you. Death is everywhere here. A scratch can kill you. A bad tooth can kill you. A cold night, a wrong berry, a misjudged step off a rock. Half the children born around this fire will not live to see their own children. You have watched people die your whole life. You will watch many more. So here's what should surprise you. Death was not the thing they feared most. There was something worse. Something the human brain learned to dread so deeply that you're still carrying that fear right now, tonight, in a warm house with a locked door and no predators anywhere. You felt it the last time someone left you on read. You'll feel it again. And it's older than your species. Start with how cheap death actually was. For most of human history, you lived inside a group of maybe 15 to 50 people. That was your entire world. There were no strangers to meet, no new towns to move to, no starting over somewhere fresh. The people around that fire were everyone. And every single thing you needed to stay alive came from them. You didn't hunt alone. A human alone in that world was a dead human. You couldn't gather enough food alone, couldn't stay awake all night, watching for predators alone, couldn't survive an injury alone. When you broke your leg, somebody carried you. When you got sick, somebody fed you. When you were old and your teeth were gone, somebody chewed your food soft so you could eat it. We know this because we found their bones. Skeletons of people who lost all their teeth years before they died. People with healed injuries that should have been fatal. Injuries you cannot survive without months of someone else keeping you alive. A broken body that lived anyway isn't a story about one tough individual. It's a story about a group that refused to let go. So the group wasn't just where you lived. The group was the difference between living and not, which means the most dangerous thing that could possibly happen to you wasn't a predator. It wasn't a wound. It was being pushed out. Here's where it gets complicated. Every society we've ever studied has the same weapon. Not a spear, not a club, exile. Anthropologists who study how human groups punish their worst members find the same tool everywhere, across every continent and every era. You ignore them, you exclude them, and if they won't change, you cast them out for good. Usually it was used carefully. A short freeze-out to bring someone back into line. Stop hoarding food, stop starting fights, stop putting everyone at risk. A warning. Most people felt it coming and corrected before it went any further, which was exactly the point. But if the warning didn't work, exclusion could become permanent. And for a human being whose survival depended entirely on belonging, permanent exclusion wasn't a punishment that came before death. It was death, just slower. Cast out of the group, you had no one to hunt with, no one to watch the dark while you slept, no one to carry you when you fell. The grass and the cold and the things beyond the firelight did the rest. So being shunned, being cut off, being made invisible, was an execution the group never had to carry out with its own hands. They didn't have to raise a weapon. They just had to turn away, and evolution noticed. Think about what that means. If being excluded was as lethal as a wound, then a brain that could feel exclusion coming, that flinched at the first hint of it, the way your hand flinches off a hot stone, would survive better than a brain that didn't. The early warning was the advantage. The ones who felt the sting of rejection and scrambled to fix it stayed in the group. The ones who shrugged it off got left behind, and left behind meant gone. So the fear bred itself deeper into us, until it stopped being a thought and became a reflex. We evolved to feel it, physically. This is the part that's hard to believe until you see it measured. Neuroscientists have a simple setup. They put a person in a brain scanner and have them play a basic ball tossing game with two other players. Toss, catch, toss back. Then quietly, they program the other two to stop passing the ball. That's it, no insults, no threats. Just a person being left out of a pointless game by strangers they'll never meet. And the brain lights up in the same regions that process physical pain, not a poetic stand-in for pain. The actual machinery of it, the circuitry that fires when you burn your hand or break a bone. Being excluded hurts because, for 300,000 years, exclusion could kill you. Your brain never updated. It still treats a cold shoulder like an open wound, because for almost all of human history, that's exactly what it was. So the fear underneath the fear of death turns out to be the fear of being alone. Not lonely the way we use the word now, over a quiet weekend. Alone the way it meant then, severed from the only thing keeping you breathing. cut loose, unbelonged. But there's one more layer. And this is the part that should follow you out of this video, because eventually every human around that fire did die. Death was not optional. And once people understood that, once they could look at a body and grasp that this person was gone and was not coming back, a new fear opened up underneath the old one. Not the fear of dying, the fear of what happens after, the fear of being forgotten. You can see the exact moment this fear shows up in the record, because people started doing something no animal does. They started keeping the dead. Go to a place called Sungir, on the plains east of modern Moscow. 34,000 years ago, hunter-gatherers buried their dead there, and they didn't do it quickly. One grave holds two children, laid head to head. Their bodies were covered in more than 10,000 beads carved from mammoth ivory. Each bead, when researchers tried to reproduce them, took roughly 45 minutes to make. Do the math. The beads alone represent something like 10,000 hours of work. Thousands of hours of carving, by hand, in the cold, for two children who were already dead. There were spears of straightened mammoth tusk beside them. Carved animals, fox teeth, pierced one by one. Red ochre poured over everything like a final color. None of it kept anyone alive. None of it helped the group hunt or eat or survive the winter. It was pure meaning. It was a group of people standing over the ones they had lost and refusing to let them simply vanish into the dirt. And Sungir isn't strange because it's unique. It's striking because the same impulse shows up everywhere. Across the entire world, in cultures that never met and never could have, humans independently invented the same idea, that the dead should be remembered, that you say their names, that you keep them somehow inside the group even after their bodies have left it. Honoring the people who came before you appears in nearly every human society ever documented, at every level of complexity. Some of these traditions exist for one explicit reason: to reassure the dead that they haven't been forgotten, that they're still loved, still part of the family. Think about how strange that is. We built rituals to comfort people who can no longer feel comfort, to solve a problem the living were the ones actually terrified of. Because here's what was really happening. To stay in the group was to stay alive. And being remembered was the only way to stay in the group after death. A name spoken at the fire. A story told about you when you weren't there to tell it. A grave someone returns to. That was immortality, the only kind on offer. And to be forgotten completely, to have no one left who knew you existed, was the final and most total form of exile. Cast out not just from the group, but from existence itself. The slow execution made permanent and absolute. That's the fear that ran deeper than death, not the ending of your body, the erasing of you. And now look at yourself. You don't live in a group of 50. You live in a world of 8 billion strangers, behind a locked door, in a city full of people you'll never know. The predators are gone. Exile won't kill you. You could lose every friend you have tonight and still wake up fed, warm, and safe tomorrow morning. And yet, that drop in your stomach when a message goes unanswered, the specific ache of being left out of something small, something that shouldn't even matter, the way a room full of people who don't notice you can feel, somehow physically bad, the quiet dread, late at night, of being unremarkable, of living an entire life and leaving nothing behind, of being forgotten. We post-test and we perform, and we count the little numbers that tell us how many people saw us today, and we call it vanity. It isn't vanity. It's a 300,000-year-old alarm going off in a brain that still believes, underneath everything, that being unseen means being dead. The dark beyond the firelight is gone. The thing it taught us to fear never left. You were never really afraid of dying. You were afraid of disappearing while everyone you loved was still in the room. You still are. And so was every single person who ever sat around that fire, staring into the dark, holding the people next to them a little closer, hoping, against all of it, to be remembered.